Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you're brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And today we are building in Brindleton Bay, which is very near and dear to my heart because I am born and raised. That's kind of the term I was looking for, the phrase. I am a born and raised New Englander. I live in New England and I absolutely love it here. And I wanted to build something that was a little bit more coastal, but if you guys have been around for the channel for some time, y'all know I freaking love me a good farmhouse, and I wanted to make kind of a coastal farmhouse. That was the plan. I think that's probably what I'm going to be calling this build as well. I'm not entirely sure as I record this voiceover, but you can see that the shape is pretty much coming together very, very quickly because I was working off of an image on Pinterest as well to kind of help influence the shape of this home, but I knew it was going to be kind of a stereotypical farmhouse look, at least for like my farmhouses. I'm so sorry that they all kind of have this T shape that pretty much look the same. Hopefully I'm not getting too repetitive, but you can see that we're going with a lot of lighter colors. There's like this darker metal roof, which I really liked using, but I did use the siding from Cats and Dogs, and you can see that I'm using the tool mod here to size up these doggy doors to make some faux garage doors. That was the plan. Now they do poke out a little bit on the interior, so I think I like doubled down on the doggy doors. There were a lot of D's in that sentence. I doubled down on the doggy doors for the garage on the interior as well at some point, but I just wanted to get the general shape kind of fleshed out here, trying to use a lot of the assets that we got with Cats and Dogs for the landscaping. I love these plants. I forget the name. I forget names. The second I go to actually name something, I completely forget it, but it's one of the plants that we got with Cats and Dogs. It's one of my absolute favorites, and I don't get to use it very often. Not that I don't get to, I kind of choose not to. And I don't know why, and now that's going to bother me. But you can see that we're trying to kind of flesh out the landscaping. This was the first attempt. We do kind of pull it back a little bit because I decided that I wanted to bring a lot of blue elements out onto the interior without it being like an entirely blue home. And the interior, ooh, wait till you guys see it. It is very, very coastal, like very nautical themed. There's a lot of just like whites. There's like jute textures and things like that. So kind of like this soft sandy color. That's what I'm going to go with, kind of like the sand on the beach, you know what I mean? And blues. That is what we go for on the interior. So I brought that through with the flower boxes on the exterior here with some pops of yellow, just to give it a little bit of sunshine. And then the landscaping is mainly blue, white, and green. And at first it was a little bit overwhelming to me. I was like, wow, I think I overdid it. But once I actually get the rest of the landscaping done, I think it looks pretty good, but I feel like it's a bit unusual to my typical landscaping because I did use this kind of, what am I trying to say? It's not really kempt. That's the thing. It's very unkempt, like the grass as kind of the low-lying grass underneath all of these bushes. It just seemed different to me, and I hope you guys like it. But here is the fence that I end up fencing in the entire property with. It is found in the debug menu. I think there's actually a version from the base game debug menu as well as Get Together, if I'm not mistaken. I think this is the base game version. I could be completely wrong. So base game, we're gonna go with that. This is in the base game debug menu, and it's such a pretty fence. I absolutely love it. I really wish that we had just kind of a plain wood fence like this, maybe with some of these details. We do have a few fences that have details like this with some overgrowth and things like that, but they're a little bit more extravagant than just a plain farmhouse looking fence. I don't really know. I was also trying to see if there were any additional details I wanted to add to the exterior, but there were not, so I ended up going on to the interior, and I believe that this is a 2-bed, I think 2-bath, which is a bit smaller than I was anticipating, but it's mainly just because of the floor plan. I think I was perceiving this home as a lot bigger because there's kind of this little mudroom area as well as a garage, and those are, I'm not going to say that they're useless. They're not useless. There's some activities in the garage, but the mudroom is kind of useless. It's really just there for show and to kind of add a sense of realism. But that's space that's not really utilized as like the main living space, which is why I think I thought it was a lot bigger than it actually is. But you can see that I used this white swatch of the Cats and Dogs flooring, and let me tell you, I've never used it in my life. Literally never used it, and I was forcing myself to feel comfortable with it in this home because I had a vision and I knew I wasn't going to be able to bring it to fruition or feel as though it was brought to fruition, I should say, until everything was furnished and all the swatches were chosen. So like right here, I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, none of this matches. I don't like it. I don't like how the floors look. I don't like the paneling. I don't like that chair. I don't like the couch. I literally did not like any of it. And I didn't know, if I wanted to go kind of modern with it, kind of like a modern coastal vibe, or if I wanted it to feel very cozy and clean. I just had no idea. I didn't know what to do. So I tried out a few different couches, a few different end tables. I think I tried out a few different rugs at one point, and I do end up changing some of the wallpapers. I think I ended up using a paneling that was just pure white. And I mean, I'm thinking about how that not clashes with the floors, but it felt overpowering until I got all of the furniture in here. So it was very odd. This was an experiment for me, and I do really like how it came out, but it took a lot of time for me to feel comfortable with some of the design decisions that I was making because I don't make them like this. I don't make design decisions like this very often. So you can see that the living room is starting to pull together for the most part. So there is that more so modern looking fireplace on kind of an angle. Thought that was kind of nice. I merged these two little console tables or coffee tables together to make a bigger one. You would think, because we have a lot of bigger coffee tables, you'd think I would just use one of those, but I really like this one from Cats and Dogs, and I am adding a few more details just to kind of pull the look together. The door on the other side of the living room as well heads out into that mudroom that I mentioned earlier, and now I'm just decorating kind of the little entryway. I think I do swap out that couch as well from the paranormal stuff pack to the couch that came with Cats and Dogs, so it matched the armchair perfectly. There were no discrepancies, and I think it just pulled the room together a lot better in a way that I really, really enjoyed. There's also a console table over here and the little tiny lighthouse light that I absolutely adore. There's a couple of shoes near the front entryway, and I did use these overhead lights from Cottage Living throughout the entire build because I almost feel like they were more nautical than the overhead lights that we got with Cats and Dogs. That's just my feeling. The jury's out on that one, okay? It's just my feeling. You guys can totally disagree, but I really like those lights. And I also used these, I'm going to call them sconces. They're not really sconces, but they're kind of in that same category from Cats and Dogs. They're kind of more like farmhouse sconces. So I use those throughout this build as well to really tie in that nautical theme. And then I decorate this little coffee table with, I think I used this. Yes, this from Dream Home Decorator. I saw Julia Builds use this in a couple of her builds as of late, and I really, really liked this idea. So I'm going to tip my hat to her. This was a fantastic idea to use this as kind of a table tray. I think she used it on some beds and stuff like that. It was so cool. So I ended up doing that here because I wanted a little coffee table tray. I know we had a few different candles and book sets and stuff that would require me not to make a faux little tray table, but I really liked how this looked. And I think it tied in a small modern element to a more so coastal, rustic doesn't seem right, but I'm going to use it, more so coastal rustic themed build. So I really liked how it came together. I hope you guys enjoy it as well. We also spent a lot of time in the living room because I knew it was going to set the tone for the rest of the build. This is a very heavily themed build. I knew every single room was essentially going to be based off of what I was able to accomplish in this space. So I spent a good amount of time here. And this, let me just tell you this saga, that it's not really a saga. So I used the tool mod to lower that TV into the console table, and every time I made an edit to another room, whether it was changing the wallpaper like I just did, or getting rid of a wall, adding something, you name it, it deleted the TV. See, it's yellow. You saw it briefly highlighted there. Drove me absolutely insane. I did not like it at all. It was driving me nuts. So I ended up just putting the TV on the console table and not even worrying about it being lowered into the console table itself because I could not cope at all with what it was doing. But now we are working on the kitchen, and again, very, very white, very, very blue with a lot of accents. I used these cabinets and countertops from Cottage Living, thinking that they were perfect for a build like this, and my go-to fridge for the most part is this one from the Country Kitchen Kit. Highly recommend, by the way. Though if you have Cottage Living, you basically have that kit, in my opinion. So That's totally up to you. But there is going to be a very informal little dining space here. I think I end up putting it up against those windows instead of in the center. So you have a little bit more access to counter space in this galley style kitchen. But I did use these chairs from Cats and Dogs as well as that table from Cottage Living. And I used the stove with the Country Kitchen kit as well. And it all fit together, in my opinion, so nicely. It was such a clean but still somewhat rustic kitchen for a build like this, and I just really enjoyed it. I also was trying to avoid pulling in too many pops of yellow on the interior because it wasn't a color that I wanted on the interior very often. I felt like it was okay with just a single flower in the kitchen to bring in a little bit of sunshine, kind of like what I was saying with the flower boxes on the exterior, but I didn't want it to be an overwhelming accent color. I also tried to add a few decorations, and you can see that I did use that white paneling in the kitchen because to me it's very coastal. I don't even think it came with Cats and Dogs. I don't think that paneling did. It might even be base game for all I can remember. I really can't recall where it came from because we have so many different horizontal panelings like that you could use in lieu of this one as well if it came with a particular pack. I'm just not sure. But I pretty much decorated the kitchen. There were a few things that I had to go back and fix, but I was trying to get some of the other pieces of furniture as they were coming into my mind. I had to go and find them in the catalog, and so I didn't have to go back to it later. I just pulled it out and plopped it into the room that I wanted it in. So there was that little china cabinet. I plopped it in that other room, which is going to end up being the dining space. So they have a formal dining room. They do have this little informal breakfast table. I do that quite a lot in my builds. If you all are getting sick of it, you just let me know because I really like it. I feel like it's a bit of a luxury. So to give you guys perspective, I live in an apartment right now. I am house hunting yet again. Oh, I completely failed to mention that. Last year, as well as the year prior, I was house hunting for a very long time. And if you have also been house hunting in particular parts of the country, you might know that it has been absolutely crazy. Like the market is nuts. It cannot go on for too much longer this way. So we figured, why not start house hunting again? And I'm thinking, wow, what a luxury it is to have the area or the space for a little breakfast table in your kitchen as well as a formal dining room. That's the dream, like a dream house, as I want to make sure I have those separation of spaces because I just really like that. I had it growing up. I was very lucky in that sense that I did grow up in a very nice home itself. We had a lot of space. I totally took it for granted when I ended up in my own apartment. And right now, we don't even have a dining table because I needed a place to work from home and we're limited on space. So my goal is when we find a house that maybe that can be something that I have the space for. Fingers crossed for us, honestly. And if you are looking for a home right now, I am sending you all of the well wishes because it is absolutely bonkers out there. But you can see that I've talked through the entire bathroom. So this is the downstairs bathroom. There is a bathtub, the toilet, and then there's a double sink. So it's kind of a bigger, more luxurious, roomy bathroom. And I just added a few different details. I used the same white paneling and I added some beams in the living room using, they technically called spandrels? Maybe, yes. I think they are. I use spandrels, so I added some beams in the kitchen and the living room, but I didn't do it in every room, especially because of the stairs here. They would just get a little bit wonky, and I didn't really want that, but I'm adding a few details out here. This is just kind of a little hallway area. I had some nautical-themed artwork on the wall. I used that little corner shelf from Cats and Dogs as well, and then we end up decorating the formal dining room. You can tell I haven't done a voiceover in a long time, by the way. I think it's been about 2 weeks since I've done a voiceover. I'm oddly ahead of a lot of things right now, so I don't know, knock on wood. I hope that continues for me. But it's awkward when you don't do a voiceover for a long time because you feel entirely out of practice. But anyway, this is going to be the little formal dining area. Now it is a little bit congested because the space was a lot smaller than I thought it was. So I ended up using this round table and just getting an additional chair compared to the little breakfast nook in the kitchen. And I had to kind of push that round table up against the wall. It's still a little bit more of a formal place for you to maybe have a guest or two over and eat a meal, but it's not a full, what am I trying to say? A full furnished? No, it definitely is. It's not a full dining table though, with like the 6 seats that you'd be able to get on even a small dining table. And you definitely can't sit 8 Sims here. So it's a little bit odd, I suppose. You could always take this room if you wanted to and make it an additional bedroom. That would be my recommendation because, again, this is only a 2-bedroom home. If you wanted there to be maybe like a grandparent's room downstairs or even something like an office or a kid's playroom, this might be a great opportunity to kind of redo this space and actually edit it and have it better suit your needs if you're playing with a particular family in this home. But now we are upstairs and the floor plan up here was a little bit tough. I knew I wanted there to at least be an additional bathroom. I think there is only the one upstairs. I was thinking about 2, but it just made one of the bedrooms a little bit too small for my comfort. So I ended up not doing it, but there is just the master bedroom and then the kids' room. You're going to see an attempt at me making it an office, and I did not like anything that I was coming up with, but the first room that we do work on is the master bedroom, and I kept it very, very white. I think the only accents of blue were the rug, and I want to say, of course, the wallpaper, but also the dresser. I used the one from Cats and Dogs in this blue swatch. It's very, very pretty. I really love it. But other than that, there really aren't that many accents of blue. It's a very like clean, kind of neutral room, and typically I will go a little bit nuts with decorations in bedrooms because I feel like that's where your Sims, maybe more so your child Sims and teens and things like that, but I have that feeling that those should be the areas where they're able to really like express their color preferences and design preferences and stuff. Like that's just where their character kind of comes out. But I suppose I do keep master bedrooms pretty tame for the most part. There are a couple of decorations on top of the dresser. I used the little snow globe with a lighthouse in it because I thought that was super cute, as well as one of the messages in a bottle from the debug of my wedding stories. Now I know if your Sims find those on the beach in Tartosa, they all have different like little messages in them. So I was thinking maybe the parents, I don't know, maybe one of them wrote a little message in a bottle to kind of go with their coastal theme. It was a cute idea, I thought. But this is going to be the bathroom upstairs. I really just used a lot of the assets that I used downstairs in the bathroom. It's just a little bit of a smaller space. And this has a shower tub combo instead of just the bathtub, just in case you wanted to have a toddler or like a dog in this build if you had a particular family in mind. That way you could at least have a place to bathe them because that's super important. There's also going to be a chess table out here on the landing area as well as a family computer. Pretty much my go-to. If you guys have any recommendations for landing areas and decorations and hallways, let your girl know because I do the same thing over and over again because I don't know how to decorate them. And I'm always searching for different ideas. So let me know because I had no idea what to do here and I just didn't want it to be this big empty space. And I didn't want it to be like this kid's like playroom or anything like that because that wouldn't be like standard for a landing area. Like you come upstairs and you're just like, I don't know, you're just amongst all the kids' toys. It just didn't seem super realistic. So if you have any ideas, let me know. But you can see here that we've moved on to the second bedroom, which, like I mentioned, I was trying to turn into an office, maybe even like a little streamer room. That's what I was thinking. I was even trying to work with these modular bookshelves from Dream Home Decorator, but again, downstairs wasn't super modern looking, so this felt a little bit inauthentic to the rest of the design of the house. So I didn't really like it. I did go forth and actually decorate the whole thing before I decided to scrap the idea, but we do end up turning this into, I believe like a kid or a preteen is what I was envisioning. I want to say maybe even more preteen to teen. I think I put one of the night lights in here just in case you wanted to have a child here instead, but I think that's what I end up doing. I'm going to surprise myself when we actually get to it. Yeah, I think I made it a preteen room. I was going to go, of course, with this blue and white theme, and I was thinking maybe this kid really loves animals, so they want to be a vet when they get older, because there were plenty of decorations that I could use to do that. But I end up making it a little bit more mature of a bedroom, and I think I ditched that bed as well. I think I changed it over to either a different swatch or a different bed entirely. I was just really struggling with this space, and I don't know why. I typically have decent ideas of like the families that I'm building for when I go and build something, but this one I really didn't have an idea. I think that's probably why I struggled so much with this room because I just didn't know who this kid was or this preteen was. I had no idea. Originally, you can see thinking child because I have this tent here. I don't think the teens can interact with that, but I do kind of switch over, like I said, to a little bit more of a mature look. And I tried to make it a little bit messy too. I think maybe that this preteen is into like sports and things. I think I added a guitar, so they just have a plethora of different interests because they're still trying to figure out who they are and what they enjoy. But I also used the tool mod to make this mirror leaning on the wall. I thought that looked a little bit nicer than it just hanging really low on the wall. And there is the nightlight that I mentioned earlier, just in case you do have a child in this room. And then I just gave them a desk, and I think I ended up giving them a computer and 2 faux additional monitors, which are technically TVs, so your child can like watch TV in here. But I wanted to make it look like they had a little bit of a gaming setup. And again, there's like a soccer ball, there's a guitar, and I think they're just really into music and sports and gaming. That's as far as I got with this preteen/teen child person that I haven't really identified. I don't know. It's really up to you. And of course, at the end of the day, if you don't have a sim who likes these things and this room does not suit them, you can strip all of it and make it completely custom to your sim, because that is the beauty of downloading things from the gallery. You can customize them to your liking. But I do swap out the bed, and I think I just ended up going with something from Cats and Dogs. Actually, it's the same bed, or it might even be from Parenthood. I think it might be the Parenthood bed. It's just plain white. Nothing pops from it at all. And all the furniture was basically white in here. So I had to add some different pops of color with the rug. And then I do put a TV on the wall as well. So technically there's 3 TVs in here, which is a little bit excessive. But again, thinking that those other TVs are essentially faux computer monitors. But they have the TV on the wall so they could relax in bed and watch TV and just kind of hang out in their own space. And then we move on to the backyard, which I really, really liked. Again, using that vent from the debug menu to kind of frame everything out. And I also carried the landscaping through. I also added those kind of like stepping stones from the debug menu to all of the dirt pathways in the front. I thought it looked so nice. And you probably already saw the truck that I pulled from Cottage Living in the debug menu, because it's supposed to be a farmhouse. So maybe they sell some of their crops, because I was going to make, this is fun, I was going to make kind of a square or rectangular greenhouse, but it looked so flat. I did not like this at all. It did not fit the home whatsoever, and I really, really just was not enjoying it. I thought it looked unfinished and out of place. You all might think it looks fantastic, but I was like in a design crisis here. I didn't like it at all. So I did furnish it to try to see if it was just me not being able to envision what it was going to look like, but I really didn't like it. So what I end up doing is I end up making one of the greenhouses that I've made many a time before. You do it with a roof piece, and I'll kind of briefly walk you through it when we get to that point, because when I decided I didn't like the greenhouse, I decided to just finish up the landscaping instead and try to frame out some of the other things that I wanted in the backyard, because I was originally thinking greenhouse, a pool, outside dining, maybe a swing set for the kid/preteen, and we only got a handful of those things. So here I am trying to make the greenhouses, completely forgot that I make them just out of the roof pieces, not an actual room with the wall tool. So that was kind of silly. I started to do this and then I was like, wait a minute, that's not right. So then you basically just raise up the roof piece, you make it big enough that your Sims can walk in there, you can place a door, and I just used the glass roof to make it a little greenhouse, which is kind of awesome. I love that this works too. I believe it works with seasons. So technically all these plants are indoors, so you can grow things any time of the year inside of these little greenhouses, which is super cool. There's also a flower arranging station in there, and then I just add a few different details on the interior as well as the exterior, like some of these decorative little lights from Cats and Dogs, this little wagon full of flowers from Cottage Living, which is so freaking cute. And then I just carried the same kind of terrain paint from the pathway in the front, as well as all of the stepping stones to kind of create these paths and connect different spaces. I think I even take that pathway and I think I bring it around to the other side of the home towards where the garage is, just to kind of connect everything. I believe I do that. You could correct me if I'm wrong by the end of the video, but I think I do that. And then I just add the swing set, like I mentioned earlier. There is an outside dining area as well as a grill. And I believe on the front porch, Oh no, maybe the back porch. I think it's the back porch. I add a few rocking chairs because it wouldn't be a farmhouse without a few rocking chairs. I didn't want it to look too cluttered on the front porch, but that might be a great spot to add a rocking chair or two as well, if that is appealing to you. I also decorated the garage and the mudroom off camera because I just didn't have really good ideas, but there's a candle making station in the garage. There's a bicycle, a couple of like shelves, a debug car, and then the mudroom just has a bench where your Sims would like theoretically come in and take off their shoes and hang up their jackets and stuff. And now, are they called mudrooms everywhere else in the world? Likely not. In the US, I've heard mudroom or like a breezeway. What do you call them where you are? Because I am kind of curious. I always refer to them as mudrooms, so I'm not really sure. But we are pretty much almost at the end of the build here, so I really hope that you guys enjoyed this one. I cannot wait to hear your thoughts, and I will catch you next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!
Forget what you said. I'm the one that you want. Was it all in my head? Don't give up on me, babe. No, I fell in too deep. Hope that you see it's all or nothing. Don't give up on me, babe. Remember the early days, you and me in the sun. Let the sweet times carry us. Don't give up on me, babe.